What is up, YouTube? And today we're going to be talking all about Mizuki Makoto, or who I like to call Vi. If you guys know, you know. But basically, she is a very powerful PvP bruiser. One of the best free-to-play options because she is one of the two SR bruiser DPSs you can use with like Viper. But she's really easy to build up, and she doesn't have any crazy stat requirements. She's pretty good against like Tiamat. And because she's a green character, she doesn't really have any hard counters outside of like Holden. So because of that, you know, she's going to be really strong, right? Blue characters in general have a lot more counters because you have Rahu and Mizuki. And then red characters, let's be honest, there's not a lot of red characters in the game, so it doesn't matter anyways. But Holden doesn't really get countered by anything, so yeah, Mizuki's just a really good option. Character you definitely want to build up, not only just for, you know, RTA, but also for Guild Wars because she is absolutely amazing. So because she is a DPS character, you will want to max her out. It is extremely important. I wouldn't really say you can just, you know, run 155 or something like that because she really needs the stats because she is a bruiser. She needs to be tankier and do damage. And if she doesn't have everything maxed out, you're going to see that she is going to be a lot weaker because the extra dispel chance on the S1 is very nice in the current meta with like whale prayers and stuff like that, and of course the extra damage. S2 you need to have maxed out because you need to start the battle with retaliation, and with S3 you also want max because 3-turn cooldown, 2-turn defense buff, really good for herself and also your entire team, and it just does way more damage. So definitely want to max her out because yeah, she's an SR character anyways, so shouldn't be that difficult. Now in terms of her build, there's a lot of ways to build her. I'm going to show you guys 2 of the 3 builds. The third build I can't really run because I don't have the shell because haha, we love this game. But basically, this build here is going to be the Bloodbath, Swift Rush, Colossal Rush build. You can also put her on Strive instead, but I find that people don't really hit her anyways. For the right side pieces, usually on every single build, people are going to be running defense, crit rate, crit damage. If you're a complete psychopath, you can go crit damage, crit rate, so 2 crit damage pieces. But for the most part, you're going to run this setup, and you don't really need her that fast. You can keep her at like 200 to 220 speed, and you're going to want to put her on as much damage as possible. So 85% crit rate is good enough. This is kind of what I aim for. I'm at 83, so I'm very close, and that's mostly because you'll almost guarantee if you're at 83, 100% guarantee if you're at 85, that you will crit on Tiamats because you are going to be green versus blue, so you get extra crit rate. And that's going to be your main focus, right? The reason why is because you have retaliation, so when Tiamat's forced to AoE you in ultimate form, you'll counterattack and you have a chance to apply wound, which is going to be very, very good because you can stop her from healing. You can even stop her Amber proc if you actually wound her with your counter earlier on. So it's a very, very good ability. So yeah, very strong as a Tiamat counter. This setup is mostly going to be for just that, to counter Tiamat. And even though Swift Rush isn't the best, you know, it's okay. Even though you want her slower because she can stay in counterattack for longer, sometimes you're not going to be getting hit a lot, so you do want to cycle somewhat. And especially on the opener, you do want to get your S3 off, so having some speed's okay. But regardless, for substats, you always want to be looking for defense, crit rate, and crit damage, and not really worry about speed at all. It's kind of like a bonus, and in some cases, if you're too fast, it can be actually pretty bad. The other setup that pretty much runs the same stat line as this, but is actually going to be better because you get more value out of it, is if you don't have Swift Rush on this and you have Unbreakable, so you have the 12-12-6 setup, similar to like this one, which is also 12-12-6. You run 8 Unbreakable for 25% extra defense, Bloodbath, and Claw Guard. It's pretty similar in terms of, you know, how much stat you get, but it is technically slightly better because speed isn't that important on her at all. So 8 Unbreakable, 12 Bloodbath, 6 Claw Guard is going to be, in my opinion, the strongest setup, but it's very comparable to this one, and this will make her hit very hard. So yeah, like I said, you can drop the defense percent for crit damage. It does give you more damage, but it'll make you squishier, so you have to keep that in mind, which might be a big thing against stuff like Tiamat, right? Because even though you're countering Tiamat, if you're lacking this defense percent, she can actually do a lot of damage to you anyways, so just bear in mind, I do recommend running 1 defense percent. Now, in the case that you can't really get a good setup, you can't get Swift Rush, you can't get Strive, you can't get, what's the other one? Unbreakable, and you're stuck on Bloodbath and Claw Guard only, you can actually run something like this. I have another build. This is the build that I sometimes run. I switch over sometimes. But this is like a Bulwark, Bloodbath, Forced build. All you need to make this work on your shell is only Bloodbath. And you just run this setup, and she's going to be decent into stuff like CC, somewhat, as long as they don't have like Heinrich. And also pretty decent against some cleave teams as well. But mostly this is going to be to stop from Holdens from resetting you and just like annoying debuffers. This isn't as meta anymore, but it's still a decent option if you don't have another shell to work. And this will work as well. I've used this into top 50 as well. Although I do notice that the damage isn't as high, and I guess it's pretty similar, but you know, she doesn't cycle as quickly. She does feel a lot safer on the opener. It's pretty much the same setup. You don't need too much speed, although you still want to be at like 200, even though, you know, you're running Bulwark, because like I said, you still need to take turns, especially when Etheria effect ramps up. Being too slow will actually be too bad, because you do need to cycle somewhat, because you need to get your Artisan to proc. And that leads me into the shell. So the shell you want to run her on is Artisan. Some people have tested her out on stuff like Ouroboros or even Golden Lion and stuff like that, because you get stacking damage. But Artisan is amazing because not only does it give you defense, which will make you do more damage, but also you get this shield, which will be your only source of sustain really on your Mizuki. She doesn't have any lifesteal built in, so this Artisan shield will be very good for her and for who she's applying it to. And the shield is really big, right? On top of that, in the later stages of Etheria effect, when this procs, you just start like one-shotting people. It's pretty crazy, and Mizuki's a character that ends up being like the anchor of your team. Like she has to like 1v2, 1v3 sometimes. So because of that, she's really good in one because of retaliation, and with the Artisan shield, it makes it a lot easier because yeah, you're just doing more damage on counters and you have the shield. So yeah, in terms of passives, 100% you want defense percent, 90% you want crit rate, 10% you want crit damage. Either or is fine, honestly, but I find crit rate a lot better because that way you can run a defense percent module a lot more easily. But crit damage also works. And for your last slot, you want final damage. So mine, I probably will have to end up rolling because I'm literally missing 5.5%. I believe the hollow one goes up to 12%, which is pretty bad. I think I got like the lowest roll almost on this. Yeah, I did get the lowest roll. Nice game. But anyways, yeah, you want final damage. Dauntless is okay as well, but Mizuki, you want her to do damage. Like, if you make her just tanky, it kind of defeats her purpose because she's kind of here to kill Tiamats, honestly. That's like her main role. And if you don't actually get enough damage, Tiamat doesn't really die, ever. She can just keep S1ing and you won't kill her, even with the wounds applying, right? So just keep that in mind. You still want her, or you do want her to do a decent amount of damage. So yeah, she's a pretty good character. You can ban protect her a lot. If people like ban protect Tiamat early, you can ban protect Mizuki into it. You could pick her with stuff like Holden because, you know, like I said, Holden's the only counter to her. So if you pick them together, she automatically is very strong. If they try to pick like, you know, Tiamat into your Holden, well, you already have Mizuki on your side, right? But yeah, a pretty solid pick. I wouldn't say she's like better than Rahu, but she is better versus Tiamat. But overall, as a free-to-play SR Bruiser character, she's a very solid option to have. And I would say she's like right below the trinity of Holden, Tiamat, and also Rahu. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next video.